Good afternoon, everyone. J Mariah001 here with you. I have decided to start a new segment since it is the Christmas season now, and I did this for a few times last year. Didn't get much response, but maybe this year will be a little different. I would like to read out of a book called Treasury of Christmas Tales. This is what it looks like. It's got some very pretty pictures and a lot of different Christmas stories in here too. I think adults and children will both enjoy listening to me read these. So if you do have little children out there and you would like to have them watch me read some stories, then you could pause this video and go get them at this time. Okay, and I don't know if I will read from the very beginning or if I will skip around in here. How about I just start from the beginning, and that will be the easiest thing to do. Or if any of you have any suggestions, or I can read the contents, and if you'd like to hear any of these, just leave me a comment, and I'll try in one of the upcoming videos to read the story. So here we go. Here's the contents. A Christmas Carol, The Wishing Star, The Little Match Girl, The Christmas Mouse, Jingle Bells, The Magic Toy Shop, The Littlest Angel, The 12 Days of Christmas, The Christmas Bear, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, The Nutcracker, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, The Tiny Elf, Oh Christmas Tree, The Elves and the Shoemaker, The Little Drummer Boy, Christmas Carols, The Happy Snowman, and Rudolph's Adventure. And also in the description, I will leave all of these story names so that you don't have to remember everything I just read off to you. So, like I said, if there's a story that you would like to hear for sure, then please leave me a comment and I will read it to you in one of my next videos. Please, no nasty comments on my videos. I would like everybody to be able to comment. But if I get nasty comments on my videos, then I'll have to disable them. So once again, please no nasty comments. Okay, I'm going to start off with a classic, A Christmas Carol. It's the first one in the book, but I'm going to start off with it because, like I said, it is a classic and most people know about the story. There are different versions of this on TV. There are books out there. So, I'm going to read this Christmas Carol and start with this. Okay, here we go. A Christmas Carol. The day was Christmas Eve many years ago. The weather was cold and snowy. Busy in his counting house, old Ebenezer Scrooge was counting his money. In the freezing outer office, Bob Cratchit, Scrooge's clerk, sat shivering. "Tomorrow's Christmas Day," said Bob Cratchit meekly to his employer. "Will you be needing me to come to work, sir?" "Christmas Day? Bah humbug!" replied Scrooge. "I suppose you must have the day off, but be sure you are here even earlier the day after. Christmas is a poor excuse for being a lazy clerk." And there is the illustration. Quite a pretty picture, actually. They did a good job with these pictures in this book. Just then Scrooge looked up with a frown from his counting desk. Having heard a sound outside the window of his office, he went to look. Carolers had gathered in the street, and Scrooge could hear their cheerful song. "God rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay." Scrooge threw open the window and shouted to the carolers, "Be on your way! Can't you see we are working here?" "Merry Christmas!" the carolers sang out. Before he closed the window, Scrooge replied, "Bah humbug! Only fools go around with Merry Christmas on their lips." And there's the illustration. Scrooge went back to work counting his money. A smile came to his face as he looked at the piles of gold coins on the table. He was interrupted by a knock at his door. Two gentlemen came into his office. The first said, "We are here to collect some money for the poor. This is Christmas Eve, and many have no food for the holidays." Scrooge remarked, "I haven't time for all this talk of Christmas. What rubbish! Let the poor take care of themselves. Don't bother me." "But, sir," protested the second man, "surely you must want to help those in need." Shaking his fist, Scrooge croaked, "Christmas! Bah humbug!" There we go. There's that one. That night Scrooge went home to his lonely house. He ate a cold supper, then went to bed. In the middle of the night he was awakened suddenly by a strange noise in his room. He sat up in his bed and stared at the ghostly figure in front of him. He saw what looked like a person in a white robe moving slowly toward his bed. The figure spoke to Scrooge. "Come with me. I am the ghost of Christmas past." Scrooge rubbed his eyes, but the ghost was still there. Although he was frightened, Scrooge did as the ghost asked and got out of bed. There's another pretty illustration. Suddenly, Scrooge found himself walking with the ghost up a lonely road. Before them was a large and ancient building. Scrooge and the ghost went through the door. Inside, alone in a room, sat a young schoolboy. All the other boys had gone home for Christmas, and this child was left with only the schoolmaster for company. He seemed very sad indeed. Scrooge saw the boy and said, "Why, that looks like me when I was young. I know just how it feels to be left alone at Christmas." "Exactly," remarked the ghost. "I am showing you your own Christmas of long ago. That's why I am called the Ghost of Christmas Past." The next thing Scrooge knew, he was back in his bed. Then he heard another strange sound, and a second ghost appeared. "I am the Ghost of Christmas Present," said the figure. Scrooge suddenly found himself looking into the home of his clerk, Bob Cratchit. The Cratchits were just finishing eating the smallest pudding Scrooge had ever seen. Yet they laughed and smiled as if it were a feast fit for a king. They were celebrating Christmas, even though they had tea instead of wassail to drink, and could not afford a Christmas turkey. Bob Cratchit's youngest son, Tiny Tim, was so frail that he had to use a crutch, but he said to his brothers and sisters with a smile, "Merry Christmas to you, everyone." There's Bob Cratchit's family. Back in his own bed again, Scrooge was soon visited by a third ghost, who said, "I am the ghost of Christmas yet to come." Just then Scrooge saw three men strolling along a street on Christmas morning, talking to each other. "Yes, I hear that Scrooge is sick," said the first. "Who cares what happens to him?" remarked the second. The third man nodded in agreement. "Anyone who calls Christmas humbug doesn't deserve our help," he said. Scrooge realized they were talking about him. The next thing he knew, Scrooge was back in bed, and the morning sun was coming through the window. It was Christmas Day. There's a picture of the three old men, or the three men in the future. As soon as he could get dressed, Scrooge hurried to the market and bought the biggest Christmas turkey he could find. Then he bought pies and cakes and puddings and fruit. He had them all sent to the Cratchits. Scrooge went back into the street. As he walked, he gave money to people along the way who seemed too poor to buy Christmas gifts for themselves or their families. He passed the carolers that had visited his office the day before. They looked at him first with surprise and then with smiles, as he called out a hearty "Merry Christmas." There he is in the store. That Christmas Day, Scrooge went to shop after shop and bought Christmas gifts for every member of Bob Cratchit's family. He bought dolls for the girls and balls for the boys. He bought warm scarves and mittens for all the children for Mrs. Cratchit. He purchased a lovely handkerchief, and for Bob Cratchit a pair of handsome gloves. Best of all, for Tiny Tim he bought a toy puppet. After he had gathered up all his gifts, he went to the Cratchits. He burst into the door with his arms full of presents, crying, "Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas!" There he is, going through the door. Scrooge and the Cratchits family had a Christmas dinner none would ever forget. That night they ate their fill of turkey with all the trimmings, then opened their gifts. As they all sat round the fire, Tiny Tim looked at the happy, smiling faces and said, "Merry Christmas. God blesses everyone." And there we go. Okay, so that was A Christmas Carol. And I think it's a wonderful story. Once again, like I said, down in the description, I will list all the stories in this book, and if you would like to hear a certain one, please feel free to leave a comment as to which one you would like me to read. I hope you enjoyed my reading of A Christmas Carol and the illustrations, and I will see you next time for my next video. Good day, everyone.